Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hey, what's going on, guys? Your friend Cesar Espino. Welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. I wanted to introduce you to my special guest. Before I give you his name, he is a renowned figure in the realms of real estate investing and business coaching. As highly successful real estate investor, business coach, and mentor, he has established himself as a leading authority in these fields. He has extensive accomplishments in the real estate industry, serve as a testament to his expertise. His ability to navigate the complexities of real estate deals has earned him a prominent position among experts in their field. As a best-selling author, he has channeled his knowledge, experience, and success strategies into the written world, sharing invaluable insights with a wide audience. And I want to introduce you my good friend and business partner, Aaron Schlag. What's going on, brother?
Hello, Caesar, my friend. Thank you for those kind words. And it is awesome to be on here with you today, man. It is a beautiful day.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited, and again, I often when I interview people are people that I barely met or just kind of got to meet through social media, and obviously you and I have we've known each other for quite a few years, and we're doing a lot of
Yes.
great things together, and so I'm super excited to have you here. So why don't you tell the audience and people that are listening to us a little bit about your upbringing and where are you originally from and how was that for you?
Yeah, no, I would love to. So I am originally from the Midwest. I'm a Southern Illinois boy. That's where I was born and raised. A very small community. Wasn't raised with a lot of money. Didn't have a lot of access to things. What I did have was insane work ethic. That was into me by my parents. They instilled values. They instilled work ethic and the love of God and faith and family, and the importance of doing things the right way. And so I was blessed with that, and I'm blessed with amazing parents. So I grew up in that mindset and that upbringing where those things were valued. At the same time, there was a limit there, what I call a limiting mindset. And at the same time, it wasn't instilled in me by my parents, but by my surroundings. And something that my dad always said to me that stuck to me at a young age, he said, son, he said, you're always learning. You're ever a student. He said, the minute you quit learning is when you die. And so that stuck with me. And 34 years old now. And what I will say is that that is what has propelled me forward. At 24 is whenever I first got into real estate, which is was what propelled me forward in success. But prior to that, my background, I was a project manager in construction, and I always was one of those people that had to do my best and try to push things to the next level. And so, fast forward 24 years old, I jumped into real estate. I did take a pivot out of college. Some would say drop out. I'd say I took a different direction. And I was in business management was my major. And that was my goal, was to move forward in that. And I found real estate and said, you know what, this is something that I could take my family much farther in, as well as myself, and create a large impact. At the end of the day, my desire in life is to create an impact to those around me and do something bigger than me. And so real estate was the vehicle that done that for me. Fast forward, I built multiple portfolios, created cash flow, created an exit and a partnership in early 2022. And since then, I've dedicated a lot of my life to coaching, specifically in real estate, as well as you and I have some partnerships in real estate, as well as in we do sales, back of the room sales as well. And so that's where I'm at today. I got an amazing wife, got two beautiful kids. They're 8 and 10 years old, and that's a lot of what I do, and that's a lot of why I do it is for them.
Yeah, I got to tell you that you definitely said a bunch of things that definitely are very interesting, and the one thing that kind of surrounded that really resonated with my mind is the idea of surrounding yourself uh, with the right type of people, right? You kind of
Yes.
mentioned that that limited mindset, and it wasn't so much about your parents providing that for you; it was more about the surroundings and the people you were hanging around with. So can you elaborate more on that? Because I have a belief when it comes down to the average five. Jim Rohn
Yes.
talked about the average five, right? And so talk about that because obviously you were in construction. 24, you dived into real estate, which is and
Yes.
definitely know a lot of people and a lot of people that might be listening to this might want to even learn how to get into real estate, and definitely we can help them with that too. Nevertheless, 10 years later, you're still in this journey. And I know there's been a lot of ups and downs and a lot of different tribulations, right?
Yeah.
Except again, the limited mindset is huge. So talk about the surroundings and what does that really mean?
Yeah, so I'll jump into that a little deeper. That's a big part of what shifted in my life. Like I said, I can't stress the how amazing my parents are and the upbringing that I was brought up in, and how thankful I am for that. At the same time, your surroundings are extremely important. And I believe that you are the sum total of the five people you surround yourself with. I would say you're going to be the sixth of whatever those five look like.
Mm.
And so, growing up, when I look back and I see who I've been around and surround myself with, whether it's not that it's bad people, but at the same time, do you want to live that life? What is your goal in life? What are you looking to do? And so, I had to learn to objectively step back from that and do that. I've had many transitions in business and life since then. And what I will tell you is, and what I would encourage anyone in the audience to do is always look back and say, who are the five that are closest to me? Yes, I have a lot of good friends, a lot of people I'm connected with, a lot of people in my network. At the same time, the five that you spend the most time with, are they going to call you out on your crap? Are they doing more than you are doing? Is their mindset the way you want your mindset to be? So you want to ask these things and find out if those people around you are going to be holding you accountable and inspiring you to elevate. And that is something that I have made a big goal of mine constantly in business and life is to surround myself with that close five that are doing those things and checking those boxes for me. And as I've continued to do that, is it uncomfortable sometimes? Absolutely. At
Mm.
the same time, I say this in networking. I say this whenever I'm part of mastermind. I want to be the smallest fish in that pond. I want to be the one that is uncomfortable because what's that do to me? It changes my perspective. It opens my eyes and it forces me to continue to level up, continue to overcome the challenges that I have in my life. And a lot of times the people that I've surrounded myself with, they've overcame those challenges that I'm going through right now. And I don't know if you would say a shortcut. I can find a process that's much easier to overcome those challenges whenever I'm able to draw from someone that's had that experience in their life.
Man, I love that, dude. And I got to tell you, if I may, I want to add more to that. And the way I also would describe that, and for the people that are listening to us, and let me know if you agree with this or not. I think you probably do. Is I believe that the average five should be based on three different categories, right? In my opinion.
Okay.
And the three different categories are the following. The first one is somebody that's a mentor, someone that you look up to, right? Again,
Yes.
you're in these networking
100%.
events or you're in these groups of people, and then you have somebody that you look up to, and they're generally willing to help you, right? And so because there's also a lot of people that are not. I'm talking about a mentor that's generally willing to help you and be there to see you grow, right? And again, a lot of times you can find somebody through either a networking event, or it could
Hmm.
essentially even be picking up a book from somebody that probably passed away, but yet you're listening to that or reading that person's information and really putting that into practice. So that's the first one. The second one, I believe, are people that are probably around the same playing field as you are, meaning that
Yes.
you guys are at the same level, right? The difference here, though, is that they're not competing with you. Instead, they're edifying you. They're helping you really get better. Like you said, they're gonna call you in your crap because they genuinely care. There's people
Yes.
that might be on the same playing field as you, except they see you as a competition. Those are not the people that you want in your circle or sphere of influence. And then the last group of people, which I also know that you believe in this, is people that were where you were before, meaning that they're trying to get to your level. They're right below your level, except now it gives you the opportunity to reach down and lift them up to your level. to me,
Yes.
this is that the idea of service or giving
I
back,
love it.
right? And so I believe that when you take those three different group of people that really have a genuine interest in you at the different stages, then you are gonna be more sound in many different levels, in many different ways.
Yes. Absolutely, and I would also say that's a big part. I do a lot of real estate coaching, and a lot of the people I coach, I coach from many backgrounds, which I love because I love diversity and I love meeting people at different levels in life and different walks of life and different backgrounds and experiences. And what I will tell you, one of the biggest things I get from that, from besides helping them become or be some small part of their success, is the give back that I do. It is so what I receive back is so much bigger than what I give, is what I feel. It also forces me to continue to grow. And so I wanted to jump into that a little more. So yes, having those people around you that are going where you're at or headed where you're at already, you being able to work with them, it helps you to grow. It keeps you sharp, and just the value of giving back and that reciprocity it's priceless.
No, I love it. I love it. Let's talk about being uncomfortable. You mentioned that a little bit, and then again, you jumping out of being in construction and then jumping into real
Yes,
estate. I'm sure that those first couple of years were very challenging, and I'm sure
it was
you've learned a
scary.
lot of different things. And then, as you said, you pivot. Now that you dropped off, you pivot from school to kind of chase this, right? And so I know that a
Yes,
lot of times that put you in many different uncomfortable places, and oftentimes, people that are listening to the show, they might be feeling that they might be in a place where, like, man, this doesn't seem right, or I feel uncomfortable. And a lot of
yeah,
times people tend to stay where they're comfortable, and because they're
yes.
comfortable, they don't take the action, or they don't do what is next for them to be able to get out of that. So tell me more about that, because obviously I know you've gone through a lot of uncomfortable places, and again, it's not just business related. It could be relationships, it could be your job, it could be your family, it could be many different things, and you got to be able to address those. So talk about that.
Yeah, so something that I say a lot of times to my students, I say you have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. I said embrace that. That's something that was a challenge for me. I dealt with many things. It was, first off, yes, I took a pivot from school, from college, and jumped right into the world of real estate. I was married. I had my first kid on the way. I had my mortgage. I had my car payment. Very scary situation if you look at it, from a different perspective. At the same time, I knew what I wanted. I knew where I was headed, and I knew the goals that I had. And I also, yes, I had and hired a mentor. I had a mentor in my life. And so I had that direction as well. And what I will say is it was very scary. Yet at the same time, what scared me worse, Caesar, was the thought of, what about in 2 years or 5 years from now, if I stay where I'm at now, what am I going to regret? And a lot of times the cost of regret is far greater than the cost of jumping and being uncomfortable. And so that's something that I learned to embrace at a young age. At the same time, I did have to constantly remind myself of that until I became accustomed to being uncomfortable, because being uncomfortable is not something that we're typically raised up with being and accepting as normal, accepting as something that is part of the growth process. Typically, our goal and the way our way of life is and our mindset and our thinking is, let's become comfortable. Let's not have to worry about anything. And although I think that's good for some people, at the same time, I feel like for true growth to happen and for greatness to be achieved, you have to do the opposite of that. And so there's been many stages in life from the time I jumped from being in construction, taking a pivot from school, dropping, and then also replacing my previous income with real estate. There was a lot of transitions there where I wasn't sure how I was going to put the pieces together. At the same time, I trusted the process, and I realized that it was within me, and it fell on me to make those things happen. And so those were just the beginning stages, Caesar. Since then, I've faced far greater challenges in growth, in transition, in business, in personal life. And what I will say is, the sooner you can become comfortable with being uncomfortable, the sooner you will get to where you want to be. That is the bridge that gets you there.
Yeah, it sounds like you definitely have a very powerful mindset, and you know exactly what you want. Was it always like this for you, or at which point in your life did you start seeing things from a different perspective, through a different lens, and started thinking differently, right? Because again, even what you just mentioned right now is, you got to be able to be comfortable being uncomfortable, or even when you ask yourself, and what's going to happen in 2 years, that the realization of that regret, right? Like, at which point in
Yes.
your life did you or how did this come about for you to start seeing things from a different perspective? Because again, a lot of times people get stuck. They don't see it. They don't ask those
Yeah,
questions. That they're not really thinking about it. And sometimes they feel like, well, you know what? I'll just wait tomorrow. Tomorrow is gonna come, right?
never
And
comes.
sometimes, unfortunately, we're here today and we're gone tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. And so, how
Yes.
did you start shifting that, or how was what was it for you?
Yes. So once again, going back to my childhood, I was raised by a dad that instilled in me that it was okay to not accept the norm. In spite of all the other circumstances around me that I had to shift in life, I was raised by a dad that instilled in me that it was okay to not accept the norm. It was okay to not just flow with the status quo, as I like to say. And so that was at an early age that I learned to start thinking there was more. And so the bridge between thinking there was more and saying, how do I get there? That was the biggest challenge for me. At a young age, I wanted to do more than the average. Once again, there's nothing wrong with having a 9 to 5. You should be taking care of your family. You should be doing all of these things. At the same time, for me, I felt there was a different path there because I felt like there was a greater impact I could achieve going the route I did. And so that started at a young age, and it was about, once again, figuring out how to connect with the people and create the circles around me to get there. And that's what I've done to achieve what I have up to today.
Oh, that's good. And here in my notes, I see that part of it too. One of your challenges, and you've had many challenges. One of them is the imposter syndrome, right? So, how
Yes.
is that? I mean, obviously, you look very confident. Yet again, sometimes we don't know what we don't know, right? And so, for you, when you were going through that, and really, that imposter syndrome, how did that show up to you? And what were the things that you were telling you and telling yourself? And then, how did you come out of that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. As far as the imposter syndrome, that was something that was a challenge with me. I was a very shy kid. I was very quiet, and I lacked a lot of confidence at a younger age. What I will say is a couple things. Whenever I jumped into real estate, the lack of knowledge made me feel like I didn't belong.
Mm.
Also, the not knowing what I didn't know, that was the big part. Also, then just the feeling of you don't belong here, Aaron, because you haven't, you haven't done what so and so has done or what these other people have done. And so there was a struggle there with feeling that I didn't belong. The best way that I overcame that, and the way I have overcame that and increased my confidence, once again, it goes back to having the right coaches, the right mentors in my life that has helped me with that. Also, it has came with getting the experience, putting in the work. Once again, that's because I had coaches and mentors in my life, and I still do to this day, that hold me accountable as well as give me the actionable steps to get there. And for me, overcoming the imposter syndrome, there was a shift in my mindset to realize that I did belong, realize I was worthy of success, realize I was worthy of growth. At the same time, I put in the work to get there and show up and prove that I was, right? And so it was a combination of things that got me to the point where I said, hey, I belong here and I'm here to serve. I'm here to help others. And that's another thing that we can a lot of times get mixed up with, Caesar, is get confused, I should say, is when we show up, what are we showing up for? Why are we showing up? For me, it's about creating an impact that's bigger than me, making a difference in other people's lives and serving. Yes, to do that, do I have to be successful? Do I have to create income? Do I have to take care of my family? And do I need to be financially successful? That those are my desires, and that is always my goal. At the same time, the greater intent for me is to show up for everyone else, to be an impact to other people and change people's lives. And when you take the focus off of you and you put it on what it should be, that is when that will go away much quicker.
Boom, there you have. That's actually a golden nugget right there. We got to be able to have something bigger and greater than just ourselves, right? Um,
Yes.
you keep talking about mentorship, and again, I think that's huge, right? Why even bother paying somebody to mentor me, or why not go to a YouTube university, or you have all these different things, right? Why focus on a mentor? Because I know a lot of people might be challenged with that because
Yes.
some mentors might charge anywhere from, I don't know, $500 to $50,000 or
Yes.
$60,000, right? Why even bother?
No, that is a great question, and I have that question asked to me and posed to me in person many times, and I say, if you have paid for something, do you value it? Yes, right, you do. You value it more than if it was something that was just given to you. Are you going to take it serious? Absolutely. Also, if you've paid somebody and they have integrity, they are accountable to do what they said they're going to do for you. So it goes both ways. And so the psychology of it is extremely important to me. Yes, you can jump on YouTube and you can learn a lot of stuff. My question to you would be, why have you not done that yet? And that would be my first question. I've asked that to people and they said, well, I haven't got around to it. I've done this. I haven't been there. I didn't know where to start. Okay. So you've answered a lot of your own questions that you asked me. And what I will say is get in the right circle, get in the right group, look at the people that you look up to that are the most successful and find out what they've done to get there. You're probably going to find that a majority of them in some way, shape, or form have paid their dues to be there through and it created alignments with mentors that have held them accountable and showed them the blueprint to whatever that path is to their success. And so for me, that was very important at an early stage in my business life, because I felt not only whenever I invested in myself and I put my money where my mind and mouth was, I was dedicated and committed to show up regardless of what was going on. And I wasn't going to drop the ball. And not only that, then in return, they were going to show up for me just like they said they would. And to get value, you have to give value. And at the end of the day, that's where it usually starts, is from the pocketbook, from my personal experience.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think one thing that I can add to that is, think about this for a second too. Now that I'm not in college or anything like that, I have an MBA myself. Sure. I graduated and all that stuff. Nevertheless, sometimes we pay for a degree or some sort of education, right? Traditional education. Yes. And again, we're paying for that, whether it's 10,000 or 20,000 or whatever that semester might be, right? And we're expecting to have an outcome, yet there's no accountability. A lot of times, really, you went to school for 3, 4, 5 years and you come out thinking like, I'm going to get this major job or something. And the results may not be there because there's different factors, right? And so again, if you're willing to pay for that, why wouldn't you be willing to give somebody an opportunity that can either get you there faster and is also going to be able to hold you accountable to actually get those results that you're looking for. So, Absolutely. Something else to think about too, from that perspective, for sure.
That's good stuff. Yes.
Yeah. And then in terms of your real estate, so let's talk about that. Let's say you have somebody here that's listening to the show and they want to get into real estate. What would be some of your best tips in terms of venturing into that? Obviously, there's a lot of exit strategies and many different things that you can do. Again, probably I'm brand new, don't have a whole lot of money, and yet I want to dive into real estate. What would be your suggestion?
Yeah, so anybody that asks me that, I always say start with your local network. I can't stress the importance of that enough. Figure out who in your community is doing what you want to do. Ask them questions. If you can bring them value, see if they will help you. That's where I always tell people to start. I had someone come up to me the other night when I was out for dinner, and they said, "Aaron, how do I get started in real estate?" And I said, first off, you need to find the community that's in your area. They were not local. They were from out of town. I said, that's where you should start. And then I gave them my name as well as a couple other people's names. I said, you need to reach out and connect. And I said, from there, it starts with educating yourself and then figuring out your next steps to execution on this. So I always do that because someone that's not willing to reach out, they're not willing to take the next steps. So I know that's not the question you asked, but I wanted to start with that. And what I will say, as far as real estate goes, I'll speak just give an overview. The quickest way to a check in real estate typically is wholesaling. Every state's a little different with their laws around that. So you want to make sure you're staying in compliance. Once again, that comes back to having the network around you. And then I would say find a great mentor in real estate that is successful at it already and figure out how you can get in their circle to learn how to do that. Because there's so much you can do with creative financing, with leverage and structuring things, but it has to be done correctly. And that is a great start to real estate.
Gotcha. All right, no, that's good. And you said you mentor students now too, so obviously you get a lot of these questions, and you see a lot of different people that kind of are starting, and you get to see some of their progress, right? So what would you think is probably the biggest challenge getting started through real estate?
Yeah, so as I say all the time, the biggest challenge that anyone has when they're getting into real estate, once again, it depends on where they're coming from in life, but it's usually their mindset. Usually they have to rewire the real estate between their ears before they can start. And that comes with any business, right? A lot. And the context there is typically someone that's coming from a 9 to 5 job, or has had an experience in business where they've not ran a business or done that. So you have to start there. Secondly is figuring out how to pre-screen a deal, get on the phone and talk to a seller. So fear of the phone is the second biggest challenge. So fixing the real estate between the ears, getting on the phone and saying the right things. Those are the biggest challenges that I see with mentees that work with me.
Yeah, it's actually so true. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter which business you're in, whether you're in crypto, you're in real estate, finance. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because anybody can teach you all of those things, except if you're not right in between your 2 ears, then you're
Yes,
never going to be able to excel, right? And I've learned that.
so true.
Yeah.
A lot of people just have lack of belief that they can do it, or they have the fear or the what ifs of the fear of failure. What if I can't do this? What if I don't achieve? And your words and your thoughts are powerful. I would encourage you to change how you talk to yourself. Think about this, and I say this to my mentees when they're having these challenges. Look in the mirror and say the things that you're thinking. Would you say that to someone else that you loved and encouraged? Who should you love the most? It should be yourself. And so it's powerful to be speaking the right things, whether it's in thought or word, to yourself, just like it is anyone else around you that you love or are close to and want to see grow and encouraged.
I love that. And you know what is sometimes we're so easy to judge ourselves and start calling ourselves like names, right? Like
Yes.
unconsciously, we're not even thinking about it, and we're like, probably something didn't go right, or I'm like, oh man, I'm dumb, or like, oh, I'm stupid.
Yep.
You start calling
And
yourself all these
I'm like,
different
cut those
things.
words out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't talk about yourself that way.
And we don't even
Exactly.
realize that, right? Again, though,
Yes.
like you wouldn't say that, like you said, you wouldn't say it to your best friend or somebody that you really love. So why are
No.
you saying that to yourself? So we definitely got to be very careful on how we portray our words to other people, and better yet, to ourselves. Yeah.
So good.
So,
So true.
obviously you're doing a lot of different things. You're working a lot of different elements here, and so much going on in your life. If people wanted to connect with you and find out more about you, what you have going on, where can people find you?
Yes. So you can catch up with me on social media at Aaron Schlag on Facebook, the real Aaron Schlag on Instagram, or you can reach out to me via email at coaching@aaronschlag.com. That would be the
Gotcha.
best ways to get a hold of me and connect with me.
Awesome, awesome. So let me ask you this: people that are watching the show or might be listening, they might be going through some challenges, right? So, what would be one or two advice that you can give them if they're going through whatever challenges that might be, so they can start overcoming that challenge?
Yeah. So if you've got challenges, and it's a general question, so I'll do my best to answer that. Every challenge, there's usually a different approach to solve that. And logically speaking, the first thing I do is I reverse engineer. And I say, what outcome do I want? What steps do I need to do to get there? And then I break it down in actionable steps. You and I do this in our businesses all the time, Caesar. And so that is what I will tell people. If you're dealing with other challenges, such as relationship challenges, feelings of lack of self-worth, just your mindset, your motivation, you're going to start by first off, cut anything negative off that's in your life, whether it's people, whether it's something you're listening or you're watching or you're reading, and start doing a couple things, surrounding yourself with positive people that are where you want to be, and also start reading and listening to positive and encouraging things, and start changing your self-talk. Like I spoke about earlier, change your self-talk. If there's one thing you can do, change your self-talk, and that will help you overcome a lot of those challenges.
So, Aaron, what about if I tell you, like, some of the people that are toxic or maybe negative in my life are my parents, my wife, my husband, what did I do there?
You know what? That's a challenging question. That is a deep question. And if it's a spouse, what I will tell you a lot of times, spouses, they deeply love you. And it's a conversation of saying, hey, look, I'm not happy where we are. Chances are they're not happy either. And then you figure out the solution together. And part of that's going to be starting to increase the positive interaction, the positive conversation. If it's a family member, you mentioned a parent, they typically love you more than anyone. It's having a conversation. At the same time, they may not be willing to change. What I will say, when I've had people close to me that have not been willing to change, I mean, I'm not rude, I'm not mean. At the same time, I will distance myself from that.
Yeah. Or like my mentor, or also one of your mentors, will say, I love you, and we're in a different path. So,
Yes.
we'll see you later kind of thing, right? I mean, at the end of
Exactly.
the day, that's
Yeah. No,
exactly what it
that's
is. Yeah.
you know what? Sometimes it does come down to that. At the end of the day, not everybody is on the same path as we are, and you have to learn to accept that and be okay with that. And if they're not on the same path as you, it doesn't mean you have any animosity or hatred or anything but positive for them. And it might be time to go a different direction for sure.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. No, I love that. So, Aaron, anything else that you want to share? I mean, definitely you gave us a lot of great information. I'm super excited that you are here on the show. Anything that you want to say to our listeners or viewers, or anything that you want to share before I let you go?
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me today. It's been exciting to be on here with you, connect with you, and be on your show. It's an honor. And what I would tell anyone that's listening is make sure that you are focused on where you're going and what you want. And as I always say, reverse engineer that. That's what I done when I started in business. Is I reversed engineered it. Was I scared as hell? Absolutely. Did I have a lot of doubts? Absolutely. I had to overcome a lot of things. But what I did is I knew where I wanted to be, and I knew I wasn't happy where I was at. And you've got a couple of options, and that is learning to be comfortable with being uncomfortable or learning to live with regret and stay where you're at. And so make that choice and move forward accordingly and make sure you surround yourself with the right people.
I love that, man. I love that. Well, again, there you have it, guys. Amazing information given by Aaron. And so, again, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate all of the insight you have given us. And so,
Thank you,
thank you
Caesar.
again. And for the rest of you guys, do me a favor, make sure that you subscribe, share this message too, because somebody definitely needs to hear this message. And I'll see you guys at the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.